Welcome all. My name is Piyush Ulyukar and I will be discussing about the Navier-Stokes equation. In this module, we will discuss the assumptions of a Navier-Stokes equation, the derivation of a Navier-Stokes equation, the importance and the physical significance, and some numericals. So here we can clearly see that these are the three Navier-Stokes. This is the Navier-Stokes equation in a three different direction, in x direction, in a y direction, and in a z direction. Navier-Stokes equation is very important equation in the fluid mechanics since it is generalized equation in a real fluid flow. So we can apply this equation in any real fluid. We can apply this in ideal fluid flow also, but in that case the viscosity term will be cancelled and it will be known as the Euler's equation. So we have three assumptions for the generalized Navier-Stokes equation. The first is that the fluid which to where we are applying the Navier-Stokes equation, that fluid should be continuous substance rather than the discrete particles. Second assumption is that the flow of fluid should be incompressible, and the third assumption is that it should be a Newtonian fluid. It doesn't mean that we can't apply Navier-Stokes equation to the non-Newtonian fluid. We can apply there, but there will be some additional stresses, there will be some additional terms, there might be some decrease in terms from generalized Navier-Stokes equation. So these assumptions are not constant. For deriving the generalized Navier-Stokes equation, we are just considering these assumptions, but they can change from different conditions to conditions. So let's start the derivation of the Navier-Stokes equation with the help of linear momentum equation. What is Navier-Stokes equation? It is nothing but the momentum equation, normal momentum equation, and it is derived from the Newton's second law. We know that the Newton's second law is force equal to mass into acceleration. So we can write it as So what it tells? It tells the summation of all the forces acting on a elemental volume of a small elemental volume will be equal to the rate of change of momentum. So by this way, I can write here summation of force will be equal to Okay, so this is the equation which relates the elemental volume with the linear momentum equation. So this is the basic equation and I will give this equation number 1. So let us assume a fluid flow. This will be the inlet and this will be the outlet. In this fluid flow, we will assume a small differential elemental volume, and I will zoom it like this. So this will be our three-dimensional elemental volume. So for the simplification, I will only assume the flow will be in the x direction, so that we can assume in y and z direction. For the x direction, I will show it here. Like the fluid flow will be here, and it will come out from here in x direction. So for this we have momentum equation m dot 1 v1 equal to m dot 2 v2. So further, this rate of change of mass will be equal to the rho a and u. So the area will be always the perpendicular to the flow. Since we are having velocity from the x direction, we will assume the area perpendicular to x direction, that is the dy and dz into u. So the final equation we have rho dy dz u into v. Similarly, we will do here also. The equation will be same except additional term, and that additional term has been generated because we have to approximate the flow, and for the flow approximation we have equation in mathematics, that is the Taylor series. So I will not go into the mathematics, but I will write here. So rho u v dx. So this will be the addition term apart from this term. Okay. So I have shown it here also, that this is the inlet momentum flux, this will be the outlet momentum flux. It is for the x direction, we will do it for y direction as well as for the z direction. Okay, so we have got the different linear momentum equations for the different directions. So I will put these equations in equation number 1. So I will put all these equations here, and I will after rearrangement, after some calculations, and after one of the differentiation, we will get finally this equation. I haven't done it because this is very lengthy, and this is not that much required, so it is better to write it directly. So at the end we will get this and this part. So this part will be known as the acceleration part, acceleration of a fluid, and this is known as the continuity equation. We have already seen the kinematics chapter. So continuity equation, we have already assumed that at the starting that it should be the incompressible fluid flow, and for the incompressible fluid flow the continuity equations become 0. So this equation will be 0. We will only remain with this equation. Therefore we can write it as summation of all the forces acting on a elemental volume equal to the acceleration. So this will be known as the equation number 2. So this part has been completed. So now I will focus on the summation of all the forces. Which type of forces? So the forces will be acting on a differential volume will be the body forces and the surface forces. For the body forces, there are some external fields like gravity, magnetism, electric potential, but it is the out of the syllabus for us, so we will only focus on the gravity. It is because of the weight. So if we have a particular element, then just because of its own weight, this force, body force, will be there. At the same time, surface forces, it consists of the hydrostatic pressure as well as the viscous stresses. So if suppose fluid is flowing and this is one of the differential volume, then what happens? It is at some depth, so the hydrostatic pressure will be acting from all the direction on this particle. Because of that the hydrostatic pressure force will be there. If the fluid is moving, then definitely there will be a, if suppose there is a no slip condition, there will be velocity gradient, and just because of the velocity gradient there will be the viscous stresses involved. So at this particle viscous stresses will be involved. So the first force will be acting on the body will be the body forces, and the second will be the surface forces. Okay,
So can I find the body force? Yes, I can find. Force equal to mg, but it is for the small differential volume. So into g. So df will be equal to rho g dx dy and dz. This will be the body force. Now we will come to the surface force. For the surface force, we have this stress tensor. So we know that the pressure always act perpendicular. Hydrostatic pressure always act the perpendicular to the body. So here in this diagram, we can say that the pressure will be acting perpendicular to all the directions. Hence, this term will be 0. Only the principal planes, means in hydrostatic pressure forces there will be no principal planes. All the pressures will be same, all the pressure forces will be same, but it will act only perpendicular to all the 3 directions. So that's why there are the 3 terms. Then there will be the viscous stresses. So the combination we will get as the surface forces. So from this we will get the surface force. Therefore the forces acting on the surface will be force equal to stress into area. So it is applicable here at this surface. This will be the sigma xx into that area, perpendicular area, that is dx into dy. Sorry, dy into dz. So that will be the area, and here sigma xx plus additional term will be there. Additional term because we always going for the flow approximation for a particular point. This is very small element, therefore we are going for a particular point, and for a particular point if you want to approximate the flow, then we have to apply the Taylor series expansion, and we have neglected the next terms. So this will be the equation. So these both are in opposite direction, they will cancel with each other, and we will left only with this term. So similarly we will do the same process for the y direction and for the z direction, and we will get the final equation as df equal to del by del x sigma xx dx plus del by del y sigma yy. So this will be continued. Now if we will add the perpendicular area for the each term, then we will left with the, means here there is dx, so area dy dz, here dy, so area will be dx dz. So this will be like that, and the volume will come as outside. So at the end what we will get df by db equal to some term, and that term will be this term. So if you put sigma xx equal to minus p of plus tau xx from this stress tensor, and after that similarly if we put sigma yx for sigma zx, and if we put this here then we will get this equation. Similarly, if we do is instead of x, we will do it for the y direction, then we will get this equation. For z direction, we will get this equation. So this equation we will get. But the problem is that these three equations are very lengthy. So we can convert it into a single equation like this. For surface will be equal to gradient of pressure plus dF by dV viscous. So this will be known as the common equation for all these three equations. Okay, so it is represented as this. This is the same equation which I have written, where this term indicates that these terms in I, J and K direction. Now the question arises, what about these? If I want to further solve these equations, what about this C matrix? What do you mean by this equation? What do you mean by tau yx? What do you mean by tau zx? How can we solve these equations? For the shear stresses, we the Newton's law of viscosity, that is mu del u by del x plus del u by del x equal to twice of mu del u by del x. So for tau yx, we will have mu del u by del y plus del u by del x. For this equation, we will have del w by del x plus del u by del z. So we will have these equations for these three terms. For these three terms, we will do the same procedure. For these three terms, we will do the same procedure, and after putting all these values, we will get the final Navier-Stokes equation for different direction, for x, y and z direction. From this equation, we can tell that this is the second order partial differential equation, as well as this is the acceleration term, and in this term we will have u del u by del x. So this indicates that this is non-linear partial differential equation. So all the things are satisfied. This is valid for the Newtonian fluid and for the incompressible flow. Both assumptions we have assumed in the numericals. And one more thing, here we have considered the Newtonian fluid equation, but if we change these equations to the non-Newtonian equation, then the additional terms will be there, and the final equation will be a little bit changed, and you will get different Navier-Stokes equation. So that happens in case of non-Newtonian fluid. In turbulent flow, there will be extra stresses, turbulence stresses added. So additional term will be there. So I guess we have completed the derivation, and we will move to the next section.